Okay, I got my Precision T5400. It's got dual Xeon 5410 processors, which you can see right here. They are rated at 2.3 gigahertz. These are E5410. They're actually Harperstown. And I have also, and I got a lot of stuff on the screen, but this is going to be a benchmark, and I know I always do these way off, but I also have my GTX 465 here. I'm going to do two things here. I'm actually going to run this pass mark to rate the processor. So let's just give you the base mark Windows experience, which doesn't mean a lot. You know, see, I got ×2, 8 gigs of RAM, Windows Vista, and it's right now the processor's at 5.9. Actually, everything is rated at 5.9, which I think is kind of funny. So what we're going to do is I am going to run this pass mark test, and I'm going to leave this up to rate the temperature. See, right now it's running at about 77 degrees Celsius, because that GPU 465 is based on the GF100, which is the hottest CPU that NVIDIA ever made. I'll leave this guy up. I'm going to run this benchmark, and then I'm going to install in this T5400 these two 3 gigahertz CPUs that I just got. These are actually 5450s, so I'm upgrading from a 5410 to two 5410s to two 5450s with a bump by about 700 megahertz. I'm going to run the pass mark again to see how much upgrade we get from the faster CPUs. And I'm also going to take the heatsink off of this 465 GeForce, put some Arctic Silver on it, and see what kind of drop in temperature we get after we run the second benchmark. So the next time you see the screen, I will have the results up plus the maximum temperature that the CPU reached, because this pass mark does test the GPU, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, here's my result. It rates at 1666, which is better. I actually, before I had the old graphics card in there, it actually only rated at 1300, so there is a jump, which I would consider pretty significant. I'm going to run through these. Let's see, CPU mark is 7844. So I'm just going to kind of give you a screenshot of these. SSE, which is primarily what I'm interested in, because the Adobe program uses SSE, rates at 23, and we'll see basically how they improve. So the benchmark that we're looking at for the CPU is 7884, and the next I'll put the new parts in and replace the heat sinks with the Arctic Silver, and we will see where we end up. Remember, the max temperature is 84. We'll see if we can get that to drop by a few degrees. Okay, for those of you who don't know, this is the inside of a Dell Workstation chassis, and I've seen the inside of the 5500s, which is the current generation. This is a 5400. It's the previous generation. They all kind of work about the same way. One thing that you'll notice is this graphics card right here, this 465 I put in, is significantly warmer than the rest of the case, and I can even notice that it's heated up the case so much. I'm going to disconnect this guy right here, and I can lift these fans out of the way, and you'll see the significant glare from my light. But they use passive heat sinks to cool these guys down, and one big fan that blows across the heat sinks to keep them cool. Now, to be honest, I have never dealt with the LGA Intel platforms. The last time I put together an Intel PC was the Pentium 4, which was a 478. So you're gonna learn this with me as I learn it. Now, what I notice is that there are actually screws that hold these down, which is good. So I am going to take these screws apart. I might do one here on camera for you. I don't want to bore you with some of these kind of busy work things. But I've never done this with an Intel platform, and especially with the Xeon platform, the 775. Actually, these are actually LGA 771, which they only released as a Xeon platform, and also very, very few Core 2 quads. Okay, I'm going to lift this off. And that bad boy came right off. Look at that. Let's see if I can get it on camera here. That air-cooled, passive. Looks like it's got 6 heat pipes in there. Pretty wicked. Very, very efficient cooler. It has the factory thermal interface compound, thermal interface material. I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy off here so that we can get a closer look at this processor. And you can't read it because the light is kind of glaring, but it does say 2006 E5410, and it actually reads the speed on there with the 12 megs of cache, actually 6 megs times 2. So I'm going to go ahead and take this other tower off and pop the new processors in, and I'll do some video of putting it back together. I figured I'd go ahead and get some video of this, just in case you didn't know. I'm going to actually reach across the light here, so it's going to get dark. But for all these LGA setups, you take and push down on this doogie and lift it up, and then you'll actually lift this off. And it should actually work exactly the same for the LGA 775 and the 1156, all the new Intel sockets. Excuse me. And if you'll notice, when I lift this old processor out, there's no pins on it. It's completely flat. It's called a landing grid array, and the pins are actually contained inside the socket, right there. And these flat grid arrays actually land on the pins and make the connections. So there's one of the old Xeon 2.3s, E5410. And I wonder if we... processors, here's the other one still wrapped up. This is actually a matched pair. You'll see the Intel SKU is Slank. That's actually what I shopped for. It's an E5450. It's 3 gigahertz. You can see it's a couple years older. Actually, I wonder if mine said 08 or maybe 07. 3 gigahertz, 12 megs, 1333 frontside bus. Back before the memory controller was integrated into the CPU with the next generation, the Core, iCores. But the reason, they do make faster processors that I could have got, like an X5450. But the reason that I picked the E5450 is I get my 3 gigahertz, which is basically the fastest as this can go. And it's still 80 TDP, which the old CPUs are also 80 thermal, it's got an 80 watt thermal ceiling, because I don't have to get different heat sinks. I can use the factory heat sinks if the CPU has the same thermal power rating as the one that I'm replacing. So that was kind of the as opposed to finding a SKU that says X and maybe getting a little more juice, I get my 3 gigahertz. Here I am with the Arctic Silver ceramic, which I purchased because I am used to using the poly ceramic, alumina, whatever. I didn't have this. Had to go to Radio Shack, bought this. It'll work as well. They had this silver-based stuff there, but since I'm so used to working with the ceramic, I bought this. Plus the silver-based stuff was twice as much. Got it actually on the CPUs using the Clayton line method, which is erratic. And I also got my copper bases nice and clean. I'm going to assemble it all together, and we'll fire this guy up. I'm actually going to test the CPUs before I take the video card out, just so that I don't create more troubleshooting nightmares in case something goes wrong. Just for giggles, here's a shot of everything back together. I tighten them down slowly, in an X pattern, slowly, so that the force would come down evenly, and I'll put it back together and fire it back up. How many of these videos have I recorded? Me turning stuff on. Ooh, Dell. Well, let's say anything about the CPUs. We're waiting. See if it picks up the processor. Right click. Properties. Gears of War 3. Ooh. E5450. My settings have changed. Remember, everything was 5.9 before, so I'm going to run it again and then we'll see how things come out. After running the reassessment, the scores did not change at all. So I'm interested to see what pass mark is. Let's fire it up, which, you know, I don't know if it changed either when I put the graphics in. Maybe the graphics did change. I think it still said 5.9 when it had the old FX 3700. Okay, here's the new benchmark, 1945, which is higher than 1666. I don't want to upload my baseline. Let's see. CPU jumped up to 10,000-ish, which I thought it would hit about 11,000, but that's all right. I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to save this as the 5450. And then we'll hit save, and then we'll compare results. And I will select my 5410, and then we'll hit OK. So we can see the red one is the old computer with the old CPU. So I did get a jump in actually every category. Even the graphics ran better. I noticed that the graphics ran 15% better because, you know, sometimes you can be limited by a bottleneck, and being a dated platform, the CPU can actually limit the GPU. If I were to have like an i5 2500 with a quad core, I'd probably score even better on the graphics benchmark because it wouldn't be as bottlenecked by the old architectures that they are. Because this is loosely based on a Core 2 quad, you know, with the dual die. And correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember, but it is based on that technology. But it looks like everything had at least a 15% jump. The memory had a 32% jump. I don't know if that's, I can't remember if the new CPU has a faster front side bus or not, but very pleased with the results. You know, I paid a good price. I got both CPUs for the price of what one normal 5450 tends to cost. So I'm very happy with that. And I'm hoping that, and the disk actually ran slower, but I'm hoping that this will provide me with much faster compiling a video with the ability of NVIDIA's CUDA. I can actually, for the first time ever, I've been able to do a faster than one-to-one compile a video, you know, whereas I was getting on my old dual core desktop, it was taking, you know, 8-to-1. So for every 1 minute video, it would take 8 minutes to save as a file. On my Alienware laptop, I was getting 4-to-1. So every 1 minute of video, it was taking 4 minutes to save. I'm actually doing about 60%. It takes for every minute of video, it takes me about 45 seconds to 30 seconds, in between 30 and 40 to save it. So hopefully with this faster CPU, just the fact that it's a higher clock rate is going to cut that down significantly. And I'll actually let you know. I'll let you know how long it takes to compile this video. I've got about 10 minutes of footage. It'll probably be about 15, but I hope to keep it around 10. So very happy with the result. I'm going to pull the GPU out and replace the thermal compound to see if I can get better temperatures. Remember, it ran 84 degrees. I'm going to run the same test. We'll see what kind of temperatures I get with the new thermal compound, and I don't know, I might make that a separate video. Anyway, you guys take it easy.